all good?
Welcome to the first ever podcast in here.
That's awesome.
Hey,
Congrats. Thank you.
so interesting way we met in
Oh,
just my daughter talking to you in sister's restaurant.
yeah,
And
that was really it was really beautiful. Like I've had a connection with kids. I don't know why kids feel so well. I guess I do know why kids feel so comfortable. I've been teaching for so long, and
yeah,
I'm out on Vancouver Island, and it could be the surviving the whole lightning thing. Kids kind of know that. Oh, this guy seems great. I'll just talk to him. He
yeah,
seems like he's. I'll just talk to him. So
yeah. Well, yeah, when you told me you got struck by lightning twice, yeah, your life, we'll get to the big thing you're doing now, but I mean, start at the beginning and just give us a bit of a story of who you are. And
oh, okay. Well, I have to start at the beginning, then it's going to be following those old protocols that my grandfather's laid up for me.
hmm
Something that we as First Nations people do and have done for beginning of time.
mm,
We come into a place or a territory that's not ours, acknowledge those territories in that place. And I'm lucky enough to be able to do that in my traditional Ojibwe language, Anishinaabe language.
hmm
I'm kind of cutting out a little
Yeah,
bit.
I think it might be all right. Just keep it nice and close to your mouth. I think it might not show up on the recording there. So
Okay, better.
yeah,
All right.
we'll see what happens.
So I'm going to start by saying Chimigwech to the Cree and the people of the Treaty 4 territory. Anistuyad Nistuganwish Kishtandayon, Ani Nuinabojo,
Mm.
Merde Wasmon and Dishnikas, Mishagish Gigmanganishnabe, Quartus Donjaba, and the Gigdodam, Ogichata, Medan Mishkikinani, Nimkinap Kawaganadoa, Waminido, Shilmominido, Inosha Minido, Nation Dishnikas, Nadeyu, six Kinesitisipima win, Promopamadzoin. Now, if I was to translate all that, we'd be here till midnight. So,
Yeah, that's
I,
quite a bit, eh?
yeah. Nindishnikaz means my name or who I am. My Ojibwe name is kind lightning, gentle lightning, children's lightning, or healing lightning. Depending on the context, will depend on what that name means. And that name was gifted to me when I was struck by lightning my first time at 8 months old and survived that. I don't remember that because I was a baby, but I do remember that in May 23rd, 2003, I was struck for my second time. I just quit drinking 6 months before because my sister got sick with the cancer, and I didn't want to ever forget any more days with it. I knew our days were numbered, and so I quit drinking. And May 23rd, long weekend, my brother had brought his son up for the weekend, and because I'm the one that goes out and does the fishing and the hunting, and kind of share the stories that Grandpa shared with me. My nephew would always wanted to go fishing or whatever. So we were out fishing, and I said, "Son, we can't be out near the water. Auntie is sick with cancer, and the last thing the family needs is for us to get struck by lightning." So we got back to the house. Um, he went in the bedroom and changed. I was out in the living room, so I took my shoes off and my socks. I sat down to beside my brother on his left side, and I kind of put my shoes under the fireplace. And I opened up the doors, put my socks on to dry, and I stretched out my feet to dry them. And as soon as my feet went out, this white, pink, yellowy, purple, green, silvery, golden, blue colored hair hit my foot. When it hit my foot, it was like someone slammed my body, just like bang. So it hurt so much. And I also had like that flash in my eyes, like somebody just flashed the camera in front of me, so I couldn't see for a second. And at the same time that I couldn't see, that pain was there, and then it was over,
Yeah.
like a second. And in my head, he turned to my brother and said, "Call an ambulance, call a doctor," because I'd feel that my lungs ain't working right, my heart isn't doing right. Like it just seemed like everything was a mess. Um, but my brother says something completely different. He said he saw me come into our house, sit down beside him, take off my shoes, open up the fireplace. He said he saw the lightning hit me. He said, and that's when he turned to me and said, "Bro, did you just get struck by lightning?" He said, "I giggled, I grabbed my chest, and I fell over." Um, Again, I don't remember that part. But when I fell over in front of the fireplace, apparently he said that's when the other bolt of lightning came out and hit the bottom of my foot. That it stiffened up your body, and all the your shirt just exploded into pieces all over the place.
So where the lightning came from, there was a storm, but it came in the house?
Yeah, it came down. It had to have come down the chimney,
Yeah.
came down the chimney and out the fireplace. My brother was under renovating the house, so there was no like there was,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of stuff happened at that moment. Being wet, coming out, like all these things had to play
Oh,
for
yeah.
that to happen. Um, yeah, and changed my life.
Well, no kidding. So that was 2003?
2003.
And were
Right?
you teaching at that time, or what were you doing in 2003? How old
Two-
would you have been?
2003. 23 years ago, I was still in my late 20s.
Right. Right.
Um, just trying to figure life out. My sister getting sick kind of really, what are you doing, man? You know? So I tried to go to school, but I was really, in those first years, was just kind of from 2000 to 2004, was just my sister and her sickness,
Mhm.
other thing. And after the lightning strike, went to Trade University, finished my degree.
Mhm.
I stopped using excuses. I realized how precious this is, how precious life is, how precious what we have, and how fragile it is.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
did your sister, did she pass
she
then?
did.
Or yeah.
She did in 2004, June 7th. June 7th used to be I used to have a really bad day because that was the day that she passed. But it changed after a few years, and as the story gets on, we might even be able to get into why June 7th is such a bad day anymore.
Mhm.
Um, but that year in 2004, we lost Iris first. And then at Christmas time, we had our other sister going to the hospital thinking she had a cold or pneumonia. And we found out that she had the cancer as well. And they gave her days, weeks. It wasn't a long time. And we lost her on the 23rd of December of the same year, just
Mhm.
before Christmas. Um, yeah.
You guys
The-
were pretty close, hey? Were you
we
guys
were,
close in age?
no, they were considerably older than me. I was the youngest of the family. Yeah, I was adopted I was adopted by my grandparents.
Mhm.
Um, Adopted by my grandparents because my mother was 12 years old when she was forcibly impregnated
Mhm.
and didn't want to get lost in the system. So my mom and dad were lucky enough to be able to adopt me, where I avoided all the other stuff that my brothers and sisters have gone through that I've heard over the many years.
Mhm.
Right out of Trent, like when I was at Trent University, I was like, how come you don't know this story? How come you don't know this? How come you don't know this story? Not realizing the levels of what the residential school and those systems have done to the people. Whole other crazy, right? But I
You could try
started
just bringing that up just a little bit more. Maybe just
right
you
here.
can move it wherever, just get her, then it will maybe not cut out. Yep.
Cut out so much.
Let's
Okay,
try that.
well, let's try that. Yeah, that sounds a little bit better.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah. So I
So you went to Trent.
went to Trent, graduated with my Indigenous history.
That's in
Poly,
where in BC is that? Is that a Vancouver?
no, that's in Peterborough, Ontario.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
Anishinaabe from Ontario.
Okay.
Kawarth is Donjaba. Donjaba, where I'm from.
Mm.
Kawarth is an Ojibwe word for the big shining waters. And it encompasses all those areas that are like Lindsay, um, Peterborough, like that whole area was all ours at one time. We were the Mississauga, Shikigwang, Anishinaabe. We took care of those big shining waters. But with the reservation system, we've all been split up in different ways, different things. So Canadian government, they tell you that my name is James Taylor, and they'll tell you that I'm from Curve Lake First Nation. But Papa always said, Minade Wasmon Nishnikas, your kind lightning, your gentle lightning. Mississauga, Shikigwang, Anishinaabe, Korthus Donjaba. It's your language that speaks the responsibilities of the place you call home.
Mhm.
Kind of way that translates. So those old stories and teachings, a lot of people don't know. And I was very humbled to, at that point, to know that I was as lucky as I was.
Yeah.
Um,
Kidding. Having
yeah.
been struck by lightning at 8 months.
And that was the thing, like how they took it. as I got older and was talking with the ones that were the shwabe when I was hit, which were the helpers for the elders, they were like, "Do you know why you were struck? Do you know all these things? You know, do you know why your aunties and uncles always came to you with stories and all this stuff that happened?" And I understood. Like I really understood after I got struck that second time. Oh my God, this is why we had to be in the woods quiet when they kept saying me, Zona bin, mud bin, you know, Nick had me tell me, sit down, be quiet, you're being too loud. Because prior to 1982, they could have been arrested for doing what they were doing.
Yeah.
And then I would have been stuck in the system anyway.
Mm.
Um, but Papa said, when you get older, you can be as loud as you want to. He's telling me, Joe, you be a big loudmouth, everyone. You know, you just listen now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. And that's crazy to think like that Canada, that's not even it's just a little over 40 years ago.
No,
Right.
yeah.
You
To
know?
hear that you're so heavily involved in it and you don't even look that old and yeah, it's
Oh, thank you.
not
Thank you.
so past. Yeah. Well, maybe it's all the exercise you get. I don't know.
That's all the walking, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not holding on to the trauma, you know, using my education to further my own self-awareness.
Yeah.
Having that lightning strike and realizing what life is,
Yeah.
you know,
So
being
teachings have been a pull for you, you think?
teaching has been amazing.
Yeah.
That's my passion and my purpose, I believe.
Yeah.
As well as doing the healing work that I do in community. I worked for the Truth and Reconciliation Commission as a cultural support out on the West Coast, and then went into many, countless communities, and been to so many conferences around around those atrocities.
Yeah.
And Papa said you can sit and listen to someone and be there for them and be there in that moment. But don't take that stuff that they're carrying. It's not yours.
Mhm.
That's where their teaching, their healing lies. So it's something to sit and listen and know that the sage and the stuff that we carry um, takes that stuff off us. And we can't explain it, but yet we know it works because we can feel it heaviness in our hearts or on our shoulders or in our minds. And when we use that medicine, it takes those things.
Yeah.
It was like when I was doing my complex trauma counselor training for the First Nations Health Authority. At the end of our training, they'd asked us, "What did you learn?" I said, "Absolutely nothing."
Yeah.
And they were like, "What?" It's like, "You spent all this money, we did all this, all these weeks with all this training, and you've learned nothing." I'm like, No." I said, "Well," I said, "what I've learned," I said, "is titles to the things that my papa's already told me.
Yeah.
That when we smudge our ears first, we smudge our eyes, we smudge our mouths, and there's reasons we do this."
Mm.
I said, and it's to take those things from not seeing in our bodies, as you call complex trauma or Van der Kolk theory of how trauma can uh, cause um, illnesses in the body.
Mhm.
So it enters your eyes, your ears. When you're a baby, all these things are
Yeah.
happening when these times you lose this. But our people knew that. Our people knew that because that's what the medicine said they would do. But when you smudge and you hear the teachings, not just smudge. There's a lot of people out there that smudge. It's like, oh yeah, I know. I smudge my eyes, I smudge my ears, my mouth, so I can see better and do all these things better. I said, what's the teaching? When did it come to our people?
Mhm.
How did it come to our? And I share that with them, and I don't do that in like oh, I know more than you. It's like, no, you need to
Yeah.
carry this now too because of where you are, because this belongs to you, belongs to all of us. And until it belongs to you, then it can't belong to all of us. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at 23, you still hadn't done a walk yet, or had you?
In 2003 was
2000
the first one.
was the first one. So
Mm.
that was your sisters, or you're getting struck by lightning that fueled this. So how did you get pushed into that?
Well, as I said, my sister got sick in 2002 with a cancer,
Right.
got struck by lightning that May. And over that time, I'd seen the compassion and the love that she was getting from Princess Margaret Hospital. And we wanted to do something to help because we felt very, very good about everything that was going on. And so the original plan was that I was going to walk in August of 2003 and that my sister would join me and that
Mhm.
we'd walk into here together. We cry.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just listening
No,
here. Yeah.
I know, but
Good.
because it
Brings it all back.
a little bit. The day I got struck by lightning, my sister got her results from the hospital. And the doctors told her that she couldn't go up there by herself. She was supposed to go up there with family. And my other two sisters were supposed to go with her. I would have stayed in Toronto to make sure that my sister wasn't alone. But
Yeah.
she told me to go home because she said, bro, you've done a lot over these last 6 months. You need to go home and do some healing and stuff.
Yeah.
So I totally did. The moment that my heart and lungs and everything wouldn't open and my brain's still firing all these things, and then I was like this? Really? This like this?
Mhm.
I'm in the house. Like this is how it ends for me, like right now.
Yeah.
And I was so pissed for a second.
Yeah.
But in the second of being pissed and accepting everything, I knew my sister was by herself. And I know that the doctors told her that it wasn't working, but they keep trying if she wanted to. They do an operation and take some out of their belly and
Yeah.
keep going. And at that exact same time, I was with my two sisters who were at her house, arguing with each other because they stayed there.
Yeah.
It was like for half a second, I was with everybody. And then when I realized that that couldn't happen, that's when everything else happened. Um, yeah.
All right. So sister got the bad news, and then where were you? So Ontario was at your home then?
Yeah, I was in Ontario. I was in Burley Falls, Ontario, which is part of our homelands,
Right.
belonging to Curve Lake First Nation. And they took me to the hospital. And when I got to the hospital, I was surrounded by doctors and nurses. Like everyone was just like in a panic,
Yeah.
because here's this dude that's got struck by lightning, but he's talking to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And time, I don't know, went
Yeah.
by like it was weird. Like 5 minutes could have been 5 hours. 5 hours
Yeah.
was actually felt like 5 minutes, and a day
Yeah.
felt like it wasn't. It was time was really weird. Um,
So what happened with the lightning strike? Were you laid up for quite a while? Like what happens when a guy gets struck by lightning?
when I got to the hospital and they tried to get blood from my veins, they couldn't because all my veins had collapsed. When they were finally able to get a needle in there and a butterfly, my blood came out and it looked like molasses.
Mhm.
It was thick. I'd never seen anything. It never looked like that before. Um, the nurse, I don't think had seen anything like that because they gave sometimes it gives a nervous giggle. You're like, oh,
Mhm. Yeah.
something strange. So, but still trying to remain calm. He didn't freak out or anything like that, or he didn't freak out or anything like that. Um, so they were checking my blood, what I felt like every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes or something. Um, when after a couple days, they let me go. Uh, they had my EEGs. They were doing everything, like
Mhm.
they were checking everything. And one doctor leaned against the wall, the smaller doctor, and he didn't say anything, but he just like pinched his lips with his fingers, and he was just shaking his head no. And then the taller doctor, he says to me, "Well, Mr. Taylor, we don't have no medical explanation of why your liver and kidneys can process your blood, or why you appear to not have any brain damage. Um, but by the levels of some kind of amino acid or something, he said it appears your your muscles had stopped for a considerable length of time. Like you're the luckiest man we've ever met. You
Yeah.
should buy a lottery ticket."
Yeah.
I didn't win, but yeah.
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 Well, they always went on Ontario, so you probably should have.
Yeah, I'm thinking of grabbing one when I get out there. So when I finally get out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, so anyway, my sister and I were really going to do that, but then when they did the operation on her, they saw that there was nothing, that they just closed her back up.
Yeah.
And we never did get to walk, but I walked that first time 54 hours, 211 kilometers. from our home to downtown Toronto. Just symbolic of those ones that were fighting that disease. There's no saying, "Oh, I'm too tired. I'm just going to stop for a while," or I'm just going to have a rest right here and it's going to be okay. So I didn't sleep. I didn't stop. I didn't rest. I did eat, like, you had to eat
Yeah.
stuff. Um, but I'd eat as I was going, just,
Mhm.
and I did that and did it for 3 more years. And as First Nations people, one of the things for us, a big number is four, like our four seasons,
Yeah.
these things like that. So I figured I was going to walk 4 years and this commitment would be over.
So you walked to Toronto
Walk to Toronto, from a
and
reserve to
and
Toronto.
you said, "I'm not stopping," or,
No,
"I'm just gonna keep on walking?"
no, actually, I just said I was going to do that for those 4 years from our home to the reserve.
Okay.
And then I started working for the Native Canadian Center in Toronto. And this elder from out here, of all things, this Cree elder from out in these territories, he says to me, he's like, nephew, I don't know what you're doing. He says, but they're telling me you're not done.
Yeah.
And you're going to know when you're done. I'm like, okay. He's like, you know what I'm talking about? I'm like, absolutely. And there's no way he could have known. And he didn't say anything else. I just knew exactly what he's talking about. So I walked again and I walked again. And then the 6th year, that was the first time that I had what people call a vision. I've never had one or since
Yeah.
then.
So were you doing the same walk
Yeah, I was doing the same
from
walk.
down to downtown, the
Yeah,
54
yeah,
hours?
yeah, 54 hours. But I was stretching it out too, because I was wanting in those other 3 years or 5 years, I wanted more people to come out. I figured, what's going to unite Canada in a good way,
Mhm.
so we can all get together and fight something together. Because I knew there was too much division, there's too much racism, there's too much this. And I thought, well, it has to be cancer. Fuck it, it doesn't matter if you're white or you're native.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're what your sexual orientation
Mhm.
is. Doesn't matter if you're an animal. It doesn't matter if you're a plant now. Things get
Yeah.
cancer. So that was my big thing that I was gonna, do this. And that's why I walked for those years. And in that 6th year, I'm walking along the road, coming out from a reserve on Highway 28, coming in towards Young's Point. And in my head, I know I'm on the highway. I know I'm on the road. But all of a sudden the road looked like a river. And
Yeah.
then beside the river was all these rocks. And I could not pass those rocks, but I had to walk on the edge. And when I was walking and listening to the things that were being shared with me at that point, they said, "You're going to know." And so I came around the corner, and instead of seeing Young's Point, I saw mountains and the ocean. So I thought, oh, you want me to do a 7th year? I'm going to walk from home to out west.
Mhm.
My
Mm.
cousin said, "No, you're not going to walk out west, because if you walk out west, you're never coming home. You
Yeah.
want to walk? Here's your ticket. Go out to Vancouver and walk home."
Yeah.
Like, all right, I'm walking no matter what. So I did that. And that was 2009. And when I got back, my cousin's like, "You're moving out there, aren't you?" As soon as I'm done school, cousin, I'm heading out.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
So you flew to Vancouver and then you walked to
I
Ontario.
walked to Ontario. Bust, I didn't fly yet. I hadn't flown yet. I'm an otter clan. Otters do
Yeah.
not like to be up in the air, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I do fly now. I got over it. I do fly.
Yeah.
Still freaks me out, but I do it. Um,
So how
yeah.
long did that walk take?
That first time was 5.5 months of just pure hell.
Yeah.
No one really knew what I was doing. Social media was in its infancy. Um, and I met this uncle out in Brandon, Manitoba,
Yeah.
sitting on the side of the highway. When you're walking into Brandon, while you're walking on you can see quite a
Oh,
ways
yeah.
before you get there.
Yeah.
So I figured it's this dude hitchhiking, but no, just sitting there. And I get up there. He's like, "Hey, how you doing? What you doing?" "Yeah, I'm James. I'm walking to Toronto." So why don't you take a bus, man? Be a lot faster. "Oh, yeah, I know." I said, "But I'm walking and I
Yeah.
just like lose my
Yeah.
stuff. I'm never doing this again. I'm crazy young. I don't know what the heck I am, like, what's going on."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh," he's like, "Well," he says, "you're just following those things the ancestors are asking you to do." He says, "Just like me." He says, "Come on in." He said, "I got a hotel here. I didn't know who I got it for, but I guess it's for you." So he got me lunch, got that hotel room for me. And when I asked him, I was like, "How did you know?" Like, he's like, "We did ceremony this morning. They said to come down here, that
Yeah.
someone was coming." And he said, "You're going to do it again." And I said, "No, I'm coming around."
Yeah. Not enough walking.
Yeah. And then 2014, I did my second big walk across the country. And sure enough, met his relative that took me to the house,
Yeah.
and I got to see him one last time.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, okay, you're right. I'll come, and I'll do it again, and I know it's done."
So 2014, was it the same walk again, Vancouver to home?
No, that one was actually from mile zero in Beacon Hill Park in Vancouver Island,
Yeah.
right to downtown Toronto.
Yeah.
And I'd worked for the TRC, and at that point in time, the original timeline was going to be over in 2014. So I thought, oh, I'm going to walk there. It's going to be the final report. All this stuff's going to, and I'll be there. And then Uncle called me midway, I guess, just outside of Morley Reserve, and Murray says, like, well, we got an extension, another year on the walk, so you can finish your walk if you want to, or you just go home and do it next year. And I was like, well, Uncle, I'm going to finish this walk, and we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that time, the first time was 5.5 months. The second time I did it in 96 days.
Oh,
Yeah, I woke up on March 20th, 2014. I turned over to my partner and I said, hey, I had this beautiful dream. Papa asked me to walk across the back of the turtle. We call this Turtle Island, so I knew to walk across the country where the leaders are. I know women are the leaders of our communities, our matriarchs. But I knew what he meant, like go to where the supposed leaders are and
mm-hmm.
say your words, take the prayers there. And so she said to me, I was really fluffy at the time. I was like, I had major fluff going on.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, why don't you fluff down a little bit? We'll save up some money and you walk next year. And I was like, no, honey. I said, I think Papa wants me to walk sooner than that. And she's like, well, why don't you just save up some money and, trim a little bit and you can head in May after you're done teaching, because I was already working for the school district. And it's like, no, sweetheart, I think I got to leave on Friday.
Yeah. Yeah. You're gone.
Gone. And that was literally it. I left that Friday.
So are you a walker in your day-to-day life, or you just walk when you're doing the big ones?
I think I'm a walker in my day-to-day
Yeah.
life. I walk quite a bit on a daily,
Yeah.
And I'm always sending those prayers. Like I smudge every morning.
Yeah.
I would put those prayers out every morning. And knowing that some of those prayers get answered is such a beautiful thing. So I just keep walking and
Yeah.
do what people ask.
So that one in 2014, that was your second, you said, your second big one?
Yeah.
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 And that was to Toronto again and
No, that was to Ottawa.
to Ottawa.
Ottawa,
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Victoria to Ottawa.
Yeah.
And then again in 2015, the next year, went from Victoria to Ottawa again.
Again. So how far is that?
Either 4,621 or 4,641.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long for that walk?
Each time it's been different.
Yeah.
I think that third time it was about 4.5 months
Yeah.
before I got there. And then this time the jury's out. I'm already 2 months in and only about halfway.
2 months in and halfway. Yeah, you're doing it again. So you left 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And you're going to Ottawa again.
Going to Ottawa again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most of the time, are you under the stars sleeping, or what's most of the
Well,
setup?
hopefully now that the weather's got better, for sure underneath the stars, but I've been really lucky. Like there's no funding. I don't have a funder. And 2015, I tried to do that crowdfunding thing, but it was such a pain in the butt, and I got like peanuts. It was like, it was more hassle.
So you've almost raised no money through all these walks. Or did you have a couple years where you had some following?
Yeah, well, no, and when I did the walks to Prince Margaret Hospital, I did have the people make the donations to the hospital directly for money that was raised.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I never. When I was back home, like from the reserve to Toronto, I don't need no funding for that. Like I can, just. But it was really challenging.
No kidding. Your first kick at the can doing that 54 hours.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't.
No sleep.
No sleep.
Yeah.
By the time I got to Brome, Ontario, I was like, what am I doing?
Were you having visions at hour 50 then?
Oh, God, no. No,
No.
It was just the most unreal pain. And honestly, that first walk in 2003 hurt way more than going across the country house.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I wonder if you're just getting accustomed to it, but I mean, you're not doing them all the time.
No, that's for sure. But like, I know my body. So if I go like 20K or 30K, 40K. My body says it's done, we stop it.
Yeah. Don't push it.
Don't push it.
So what's your average day? Do you track?
My Google says I'm doing 47 kilometers a day,
Yeah.
which I was like, wowzers.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's your concept for time has probably changed a little bit, hey?
absolutely. Concept of time, concept of distance. Like my friend was talking, she's like, "Yo, no, it's like 100 kilometers from here." It's like, okay, it's like 2 days, 2 easy days. He's like, 2 easy days. Like, who says 100 kilometers in 2 easy days of
Yeah.
walking, right? But
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And then do you know people along the way that support you that you crash with or
Well, there is some donations made from when I first started, from different people that
Yeah.
I've worked with,
Yeah.
like other fellow teachers and people in community, and people that just kind of picked up on what I was doing, and yeah, so that's kind of how I got through the winter time,
Oh
coming out
yeah.
of coming out of BC,
Yeah.
which was kind of yeah, kind of nerve wracking at time.
Yeah.
I took 2 days to get out of the kicking horse pass because I'm like, I'm done with winter. I'm not. Stopped one night in the
Yeah.
middle and then just woke up that like maybe slept for 3 or 4 hours and pushed through to Banff. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Any near misses on the road?
oh, lots.
I can just imagine.
Oh yeah, there's been lots. And the crazy realization, like even with this last walk, is like when I walked in 2009, I did the Coca-Cola, thinking, oh, it's best to. I was lucky to get my freaking run over and killed by a truck out there.
Yeah. No
And
kidding.
even and in my head, I'm like, okay, the second walk, if I wear this bright white Leaf jersey across the country, people see the whiteness against everything.
Yeah.
And when I get in past Hope, all the way from Hope through the Rockies is like fog.
Yeah.
And so I'm coming down, I was like, oh my God, you could never see me
Oh
here.
yeah. No,
Like,
not in the white.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
like completely white. All of a sudden, it'd be somebody honking and just like, another near miss. But you learn from all those things and you wear a Visi vest. So people
Yeah.
still have some of the near misses, but by far way less.
So this is your fourth to Ottawa?
Yes.
So that's like a cumulative like over like 17,000 kilometers.
Yeah, something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
You've probably learned your footwear pretty well, hey?
I have. ASIC, Nimbus Gel have gotten so much better.
Yeah.
They were wonderful before, but after 10 years of working on their technology, OMG, they're so freaking good. Like
Yeah.
they're light, they're everything, right?
Yeah.
Don't want to turn this into
sponsorship.
an ASIC commercial.
Yeah, I was gonna
it's like-
say there's a text or a message you could throw out there for sure.
Well, the whole thing too is like with the social media this time, I do have a TikTok. And I
Yeah.
do have my Facebook page. And the TikTok, there's a lot of people like just, I didn't even have any idea about that. Like I even had this one lady, I was being hosted by a family in the Siksika Nation, the Scalp Blocks. And so I had done some cultural workshops for them earlier in like lots of time, lots
Yeah.
of years. And so this one young lady, I'm in this subway waiting for Mildred to come pick me up. And so I'm ordering my Subway and this, oh my God, James Taylor, how are you? And I'm like, oh, hi. And I've met so many people through TRC, through work. And I thought, oh, you must work with Mildred. And she's like, just talking me up. Oh, and this is my husband, and introducing me like I absolutely knew who they were.
Mm.
And then when Mildred came in, I'm like, Mildred, I said, who is that? You work with her. And she's like, I don't recognize her. I don't know who she is. And then her grandson or my nephew, he's like, Unc, you just had your first TikTok. They recognize you from TikTok.
Yeah,
I'm like,
you're a
oh,
celeb status.
yeah,
Low-key, yeah.
yeah. It was kind of crazy. It was like, oh my God, like I couldn't
Yeah.
even believe it. But yeah.
Well, that's good. I hope you get more of a following, like to walk all that way and and it's for cancer every time, really. You're doing it for cancer for your sister.
No,
Or-
that was the first time.
Yeah.
The second time, like I'd worked for TRC as a cultural support, as I was saying. And I worked for survivors, but not just for survivors, but for the little ones.
Mm-hmm.
There should never be graveyards beside a school,
No.
ever, ever. It's not acceptable no matter what anybody says, no matter what argument you have. There's no argument for it. And so I was walking for those little ones. Papa asked me to walk for the ones that didn't have a voice and the ones that didn't have a chance to say their words and to bring the little ones home. So I walked for those in 20, sorry, in 2014. I walked for our survivors of those places and little ones that didn't come home. It was called Walking for the Survivors and the Family That Never Made It Home. That's why I walked in 2014. And when I got to Ottawa, after meeting the Grand Chief of Manitoba, I had mad respect for it. I still do. He's a great man, comes from a very beautiful family. Organized.
Yeah, take your time.
He organized our sacred pipes to meet me at Victoria Island, just behind the Parliament building. And when I was there, and I had offered all the tobacco ties that people had brought to me on the walk in 2014. A tobacco tie or a tobacco prayer is something sacred to the person or to the family or to the community. I had had two, like so many. And so I put them in that sacred fire that was lit there at that ceremony. And the men said, "We want to do something with you. We want to walk with you." And so in 2015, I walked for our murdered and missing Indigenous people, not just our women and girls, but our men and boys. Our men and boys are going missing faster than the girls. No one's talking about it.
Mhm.
It's not our high risk people. It's the ones that do stuff like me.
Yeah, so what do you think's going on there? Like, do you have any ideas,
I wish I
culprits or
did.
yeah?
I wish I did. I wish I knew the answers. I wish I bring them all home. Stop it. But there's a truth that we got to look at. There's a reason why the governments still want us looking in the landfills.
Mhm.
That's going to be, and that's part of the truth. That's part of the truth and the reconciliation. Like you can't just say, "Oh, we'll talk about the truth about this, and then everything's going to be okay. We won't address this or this or this." It's all got to be addressed.
Mhm.
It's all got to be a reconciliation.
Mhm.
Not just the reconciliation, but that action behind
Mhm.
to do that work. And that ugliness is to look in there, and we might not find the culprits, but at least we can find the people. You know.
So do you know how many people that go missing annually? Like, is track that or keep an eye on that?
um, I wish I could give you a number. I know it's extremely high. I know that our people represent 70 to upwards of 70 to 80% of the murdered or missing people, yet we represent the smallest part of the population, which is
Wow.
an absolute travesty within itself. Um, I know the murdered and missing inquiry that they had has a report that and calls to action that they want the police and everyone to do, but it's being ignored. You know, and probably too, like this whole thing with this walk is like I'm walking out here for love.
Mhm.
Like that's what this fourth one is about. When I was walking on that third one, there was an elder out in Morley. He's like, everyone's always walking for these causes. We're walking for this. We're walking for that. No one's doing anything. Just if we want positivity, we got to bring positivity. And when I realized how powerful of it, one of the videos on my page talks about how I opened up my house to strangers at Thanksgiving out in Victoria, and just pandemic stole so much from us. The government's taking so much and divisive stuff with all of us. I was like, let's just break down some barriers. Let's break some bread. In your book, you break bread,
Mhm.
right? So I opened my house, and then I end up having to have four sittings of people, and everyone in our Oak Bay local community was like, "Oh, we're going to bring some food. We're going to bring some food." They were bringing so much food that I had the four sittings of people to come in and eat, and it was just strangers, like strangers that people knew from outside the country, like from down from the U.S. that had come up, like all these beautiful people coming to just share and talk and get to know.
Yeah, yeah, you don't see that. You don't never hear about that,
No, and that was the
ever.
thing is everybody's like, "Oh my god, no one's ever done this before." Like,
Yeah,
and I was like, "Well, it has to be a normal. Like, how are we gonna?" For me, reconciliation too. It doesn't come from the government. It doesn't come from 40 million or 50 million. But mind you, that money when it's used properly to help the programs that help the people, it's a good thing too. Um, but it's the people, and I know that I've taught in privates. I've taught in the public school system. I've taught in the private school system. I've been lucky to not have to apply for a job for the last 15 years. Like, thank you.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the stranger thing, we're supposed to be scared of strangers.
Supposed to be.
Yeah,
Supposed to be. And
and
yet your little one says hi.
hi to all of them, and it's always went well for her. I
Yeah, yeah.
mean, keep her in eyes reach, of course,
Oh,
but,
absolutely.
she doesn't she's
Absolutely.
innocent, and she doesn't get that. She just says, "There could be a friendly person, I'm saying hi."
Yeah.
And that's lost as we get older and as
And 90% of the time, you're going to 95% of the time, they're going to be okay.
yeah,
But you're going to feel it in your belly.
yeah,
You're going to feel it right here. If something isn't right, and you felt it before in situations,
yeah.
you follow that, especially when you're a dad, especially,
Oh, for
doing
sure.
these things when it's like, oh, okay, so
I haven't personally had a bad experience talking to a stranger in my life.
I love that.
I've
I
yet to
love
have
that.
one.
I
Some strangers maybe I wouldn't wanna talk to again, but nothing that's turned me off from it.
totally hear you on that.
Do you have kids too then?
I do.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
how many kids do you have?
I have an older stepdaughter who's down in Carolina. We have two grandbabies down there. But my daughter, 35, 3 days. No, 36 and 3 days. And
We'll edit
she,
that part out.
yeah, well, yeah, she's still so young.
Yeah,
But yeah, she has her first, and she says one and done, and that's our Hudson. That's our Hudson baby.
yeah,
Sorry, my grandson. And then I got my son or got our son who's 26
yeah.
and works at the Royal Jubilee Hospital.
And is that all in BC, your
Yeah, all
kids?
in BC, all on the
Yeah,
island. Like
except for Carolina, you're one down
yeah,
there, yeah.
yeah, yes, yeah, except for the one down in the States. But we're all close on the island. We're close family. Yeah.
They don't wanna go walking?
No, no, God, my son says to me, he's like, Daddy, I'm like, what, baby? He's like, it's a big thing to walk across the country in your 30s. Yeah, son. He says, and twice in your 40s. I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, now you're in your 50s. I'm like, yeah, but I swear, I think it's the last time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So why 4? Because you said earlier it's a big number in your culture.
it
Is that
is.
why?
Like if
Or
it, that's the way I feel.
yeah,
Because of like I said, the four seasons or four winds, um, those things. But the whole lightning strike and being guided the way that I am, I'm open to what happens on, as
yeah,
I've been open to what happens on any one of the walks I've been on before. And if I get to Ottawa and I feel that I'm not done and that I'm going to go touch the Atlantic, I'm going to go touch the Atlantic.
yeah.
But I already told my partner, if I go and touch the Atlantic, I'm going to go and want to walk over in New Zealand and Australia as well.
Well, we'll see. That's a long walk, but man,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah,
you
I think I think I could do New Zealand in maybe a month. Australia probably like Canada for like 2 months, 2.5 months.
yeah, Australia's big. I've been in New Zealand, drove it north to south, and that's a nice walk.
Oh, nice.
Oh man, if you that would be one for the books. It's beautiful country, like unbelievable, and the people there are fantastic.
I hear that. Yeah.
But it's hot.
Uh,
It's
oh,
hot or it's raining.
yeah. I hear that too.
But you've probably walked through all weather, hey?
Yeah, snow, everything.
Yeah.
So
How do
yeah.
you pack? How do you plan?
Um, the first year, no plan, no pack, just kind of flew by the seat of my pants. Lucky I didn't die. Second time, figured I had some smarts from the time before, so I took this little backpack with a few things. Fell in love with merino wool socks, walking socks. Realized how good they are for your feet. No fungus, no like it just does. They're
Yeah.
just good for your feet. So got that knowledge. Still was lucky I didn't get myself killed. 2015, had some walking partners. Things didn't really work out so well, and yeah, I figured if I went with people, it'd be easier, but it ended up it was way harder.
Go crazy with
Oh
each
yeah,
other in the
oh
end.
yeah, yeah. And so this one, I've been off by myself. Had a bigger backpack, a little bit heavier, but it's carried everything that I really
Yeah.
should need and carry. But I've been lucky along that lines too. Like some of the places I stopped in BC, like there's one lady in one of the towns. She's like, "Oh, I live in this next town. I know the hotel you're going to. I'll take your backpack and drop it off there for you if you want." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Great, I'll take my drum. You can take that heavy thing. Thank you." And
Yeah.
it's like, boom, you peel off like 50K, like no problem.
Carrying some weight then, hey?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Man, yeah, the footwear. So how have you almost got yourself killed a few times on some of these walks other than
Just
semis and people not paying attention?
that's what it is. It
Yeah.
isn't people not paying attention. Mind you, I did think I was going to get eaten by a bear when I was coming out of chase in 2014. Um, that was a whole well, okay. I'm not one of those medicine people that'd be like, "Oh, the eagles come to bless us. This is such a beautiful thing." Um, but that morning I left in 2014, um, there were 7 of us, which was weird because it's like our 7th grandfather teaching. 7 people showed up to see me off. One is Mike, my best friend, and my brother. I love him. Mark Neufeld, you're the best brother. Um, and he see me out and walked. Okay, anyway, gonna head back.
Mhm.
So this one lady's like, "Oh my God, the eagle just swooped on us. This is such a beautiful blessing." I was like, "It's morning. He's eating the birds. Of course he's swooping." Like that was my mind thought. I was like, so he smudged and said prayers, said songs, and off I went. But the crazy thing is when I got up to Schwartz Bay to get onto the ferry, the orcas were bobbing in the bay. And when the orcas bob, I mean, they're looking. They're
Yeah.
looking around. They're seeing what's going on. And I was like, "Oh, geez, like this is kind of crazy." And then as I went, cows would run from the middle of the field and come up to the fence. They'd walk with me. So like all these really different things were happening. It's just coincidence, unexplainable. So anyway, I'm out in Chase. I'm walking. Actually, it's closer to cold water. But anyways, you're coming down the slope, and unfortunately, there's houses there. They're building houses. Sucks. But it's sucking good in a weird way because we need that to help our economy, but it's taking this beauty away. So I'm walking and I see this bear coming down, this big brown bear. And I thought, oh fuck, don't run. Can't outrun a bear.
Yeah.
Um, kind of stop walking. Like I didn't know what to do, but I don't even know what kind of bear. He's just a huge brown bear. So he's walking down. Literally gets down about halfway and he sits down, like sits like right on his butt, puts his hands down beside him. He picks up this stick. And he puts the stick on his mouth. And he put it back down. I see he's looking at me. I'm like nervous and scared. And he picked it up and he again. And I realized I got my eagle whistle in my turtle bag. So I pull it out and I blow it. He puts it back up to his mouth again. So I blow my whistle again. Puts it down. Turn around. And he walked right back up the mountain.
Oh man.
It was crazy. It was crazy, bro. I get goosebumps even
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
Because I thought for sure, oh gosh. And then when I was in Ignis, Ontario, um, the OPP said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just doing this walk across country." It's like I asked him, "Is there a place where I can rest or stay tonight?" They said, "Well, just put your tent up behind the Ingersoll sign there, and you'll be okay." I'm like, "All right." Like 3 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
and I smell this breath, and it smells like appley medicine swamp water. All
Oh
right,
no.
not awful, but not great either. And all I can see is the shadow of this bear, and it's sniffing me from top all the way down. And when it got down to my feet, it was like, like it just made the awfulest noise and walked away. And when the fear passed and I could poke my head up, I could see that it was a black bear, and she was like walking away from me.
Came sniffed you out,
Came
having a
sniff
look.
me out. Yeah, come see if I smell good, go and eat me or not. I don't
Couple
know.
of bear
Ah,
interactions, yeah.
yeah,
BC.
yeah.
They're there, Alberta, I guess they're around too, but not on the highway probably as much
Ah,
there.
not so much, but I seen on the news this morning that they got one in downtown Regina. I'm like, holy jeez,
A
like
bear.
a bear,
Oh
a
no.
bear. Yeah.
Yeah, they're moving. You always hear the stories of the well, Cypress Hills is apparently the highest per capita in
Well,
cougar
no doubt.
population.
Yeah, no doubt. And you figure when we take away their habitat and where they live, where are they going to go? What are they going to do?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah,
And they follow the wildlife
they
and
do.
they chase him out of the hills, they're just gonna follow him. So then you're gonna finish this walk and go back teaching? Is the
Um,
plan?
oh yeah. The beautiful
Yeah.
thing was my boss, like we got this program and I didn't realize um, no one's really doing this across the country.
Mm,
The kind of program that we have going into schools, visiting schools and bringing our culture and teachings, and not just West Coast, but obviously I'm Anishinaabe. I'm from Ontario, and we have Cree, we have Métis, we have all different people coming and sharing something within culture to kind of help the kids understand or
mhm,
better relate. Um, like I say, when I share our teachings, even with a private school, they go, "How can you come in and share this stuff?" And they go, "Papa told me they can't be ours until you share them, and once you share them, then they know them, and then they can be ours." That's the way it is. Everyone here calls this place home, but at no time was they ever shared the things that we shared.
mhm.
So if we share that stuff, that's going to bring that balance back in that way so they understand their responsibilities to who they are. And once you understand, when we talk about climate change with the kids, I'm like, you worry about this climate right here. These are what these teachings tell us how to make this climate good. And we
Yeah.
make this climate good inside, goes around in the classroom, the workplaces, things, houses, and their families. And it's like that pebble you throw in the water, it ripples out. You got all that good stuff because that's what changes the climate.
Mhm,
Because no one understands what it is because they don't have the understanding, the connection to the things that we do.
mhm.
And we're no different, you know. Papa didn't say, "Oh, you only share with the Ojibwe people. You don't share this with them." He's like, "No, you have to. You have
Yeah.
to share these things with everyone." And
There's still rivalry there.
I don't know if there's a rivalry,
Yeah.
but I know that there's a lot of nations that are very, we don't share our stuff. We
Mhm,
don't share this. This isn't meant to be, and that's okay. But
mhm.
I look at it as like if you try and make a fist with sand, and it's just you're not going to create a rock. You're just going to lose everything. Well, in that fist of anger.
Yeah.
But when you share and open up, people understand what the teachings are, and they understand why we call this Turtle Island, and they understand who they are.
Mhm.
When I had my own breakdown where I was questioning what I was doing, I said to my wife one day, "I can't teach no more. I can't teach no more. I can't do this trauma counseling anymore. I have to go sell ham and roast beef." And she's like, "Okay, you want to go sell ham and roast beef?" So I went down there, worked at the grocery store for 3 months. But in that 3 months, I seen how the non-indigenous parents, like I told the kids every time, no matter what class my was, if you see me in public, you come up and talk to me. I said, for you to be my niece and nephew means mom and dad's my brother and sister, and I need to meet them too. So come and introduce me. I said, but don't run up to me without telling them first that you're going to run up to me because, kids running up to strangers,
Yeah.
native man, you know. Um, and when I was working at that deli, at that grocery store, selling my ham, selling my roast beef, learning about cheeses, let me tell you, what I learned from there about cheeses was
Yeah.
totally worth the three
Now
months
you're a
of working there.
connoisseur.
A connoisseur of
Yeah.
cheese, absolutely. But having those students come say, "Oh, this is my mom, this is my dad," but having them parents come back and say, "You know what? My son was here, my daughter was here. They were this way and this way, but whatever teachings or whatever you shared with them, they still carry it. Now they're doing this in life. Now they're doing that in life." And I see some of my students that are city councilors, young city councilors up there, you know, even trying to throw their hat into the political ring on a provincial or federal level.
Yeah.
Just change their lives in such a positive way. And it's not me; it's the teachings Papa shared with me.
Yeah.
You know, and in that time, I was like, okay, hold on, I understand. I'll go back teaching. I'll go back doing the
Yeah.
work. But I needed that to know that it makes a difference,
Yeah.
and not just for our kids, but for all kids.
Yeah.
You know what? We're going through an epidemic right now of our First Nations suicides in a lot of communities. And but what people don't realize, and because of the division, is that there's an epidemic going on with all youth and suicides.
Yeah.
And I learned that at private schools and all the schools.
Yeah.
You know, and we're failing our kids. So if we fix things with each other, our kids see that, and then they fix that stuff with each other.
Yeah.
And so I
That
love.
that yeah. Social media and the world we live in now is a whole different place, and
It absolutely is.
kids aren't connected to their world. They just live in it,
No.
and I don't think that's a better outcome for our youth. Definitely
Mm.
not. And like you say, it's proof is in the pudding. Because yeah, I've heard that too. That suicides are at an all time high.
1 in 2 youth struggle, and that's half the population,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and suicide for us men, 1 in 4, and it gets higher as you get past your in your 40s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm just approaching 40, so I hope I can hang on,
Really? I
but
thought you were
yeah.
just in your 20s, bro.
No, 37.
No.
Yeah.
Gosh, I thought you were like
I must have been
24,
all that
25.
walk it must be all the walking I haven't been doing, I guess, yeah. No, I'm, yeah, youthful face, I guess,
Oh,
but
well, the good thing is, like, when you get into my age, you're still gonna look young, which is
yeah.
like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I got that to look forward to, I guess, so yeah, the plan is to do you have a rough timeline when you wanna finish this walk? Or do
Um,
you just go with the flow? You don't try to pace yourself?
just go with the flow.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know, like I said, do 2 well, I do 3, 4, days of, like, a full marathon.
yeah,
That's like 3 full days of a marathon, then a half marathon,
yeah,
maybe a full marathon,
yeah,
depending on what the body feels, and then I call it for a couple days and
yeah.
just rest the body.
So what do you do for, like, nutrition? Do you lose a ton of weight on these, obviously? Are you trying to fuel
Oh
yourself, or what do you do there?
oh, yeah, well, no, well, yeah, I haven't really trimmed down too much, but,
Only 2 months in.
yeah, I'm only 2. No, I people have been feeding me really well, and, um, yeah. Just eat lots.
You
Like,
just
if I get
go
to I like to go to a smorgasbord. If I see a smorg, I'm like, "Okay, I'll go in
yeah,
there and, like, I'll drop the 20 bucks and eat, like, okay, what, this guy's having 12 plates of food? Like, what the heck is
yeah,
this?" Right?
yeah,
And there's people that'll go for like I was saying, my brother Mark, he was at been at a lot of important things in my life, and, he's like, "Bro, I've always just wanted to walk with you. Like, I wanted to walk with you." So we came out and we walked the Thompson River together. And because I'm absolutely deathly afraid of heights, I couldn't walk on the edge because when you're in Thompson, most of the time you're way up.
yeah,
You're up at least, like, you know, something you're up. And every time I'd be like hugging the wall of the mountain because I just couldn't get near the edge. But we walked together, and that was incredible. And then I had another fellow that I met through my Facebook, um, who I knew through a mutual friend through Winnipeg. He was like, "I wanted to come in, just wanted to come out. You know, I was hoping I'd be able to meet you." And I ended up catching up with me in Banff, which was surprised the heck out of me because I'm only ever used to seeing him on Facebook. So I had to like, I was like, "Oh my God, dude, is that really you?" And he's
yeah.
like, "Yeah, yeah." So it was like, yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. You have visitors on the road sometimes. Ah, if you're in
Sometimes.
BC, I guess they'll come visit you. Maybe not in Swift Current.
Well, there's one of my brothers that I work with at the private school. He's been threatening to. He's like, "Bro, I'm going to go over your shoulder." I was like, "I
Yeah.
can't wait for it, man. Like when you get there, it'll be like so awesome." So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, geez. So do you try to get some visibility out there with your social media and stuff like that?
Absolutely. And because it's like a community based kind of thing that I'm doing, through my walk page, you'll see that there's you can e-transfer.
Yeah.
And if the organization wants me to come in and do work like I did in Calgary, we can do checks or whatever. You know, that's all good that way
Yeah.
too.
And that's mostly so what kind of work do you dive into there when you do step ins like that?
Um, but with our communities, youth empowerment or any kind of empowerment group for our youth or men. Um, yeah, traditional teachings,
So
uh,
you're very focused on the youth.
youth, and well, I've worked with all levels of government as well. So like, you know, I can come into do a cultural sensitivity with any level of government. I've worked provincially, federally, municipally, and in Victoria. Um, yeah, nonprofits, NGOs. Yeah, kind of.
You're in the scene big time, it
It's
sounds like.
crazy when I think about it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm
Yeah.
sitting here like, what? Yeah, yeah.
And then just take off walking for 2 years. And I'll get back to that later. I'll check my
Yeah.
email after two
Well, check me
years.
when I get back.
Yeah.
Like my boss said, she wasn't sure of she's like, I don't know about you. She's like, you're so different. Everyone loves you. She's like, if your walk takes you a year, or if you're going to do what I'm thinking you might be doing, she says, and it takes you like 2 or 3 years, you're going to have a job here. Don't worry about that. Like you're going to have work to come back to. And knowing that I could go to Calgary and say, hey, I could get a job there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lockwood, very grateful and blessed by that.
Yeah. Well, no kidding. A lot of people can't speak for that, but you've worked your whole life to earn it. So got some life experience behind you.
Yeah, some life experience and a little piece of paper. You know, one of the things one of the things my grandpa said to me when I died, um, well, on the edge of what it um, was he said, "Had to listen." He says, "There's too many times." He says, "You're yushkwabi." Our language is like people say it means we're drunk, but it means you're crazy in the head. You're crazy in the head from this, right? He says, but he says you don't got excuses now. He says you're not touching that anymore. Just you gotta listen. And so when he came back in my dream and he had a piece of birch bark, you have to get this. He says, you want people to listen to you, so you get this and they'll listen to you. And I knew it. Go back and finish school. Go get the paper. Go get the degree, right? And then prior to the I Don't Know More movement starting, about 2 months before, comes to me in a dream. He says, the grandmas and the aunties, everybody's standing up. He says, you have to support them. You have to do anything that you can to support the women starting to coming around with their voices. And then boom, the I Don't Know More movement hit. It was like those four grandmas, Nina Wilson, Shirley MacLaine, Jessica Gordon, and Sylvia McAdams. Like they inspired our people. And so I started organizing
Mm,
on, and the crazy thing was I didn't have a computer, but I had my son's little Game Boy thingy. It's not a Game Boy, I don't know what they're called, but they're like a
yeah,
Nintendo thing, but you could connect online.
yeah,
So I was able to connect online. I was organizing all these protests and rallies through a freaking little
yeah,
thing.
until
And then, yeah, then it was just the walks.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, you're walking well. Yeah. Well, I appreciate the story.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Anything
Long
else
time.
you wanna touch on or any
Um,
significant memories you've pulled up from the walk
ah,
or where do you see yourself in the future? Besides Ottawa, I guess, but further out than that.
yeah. Well, Deck tomorrow and Regina by Friday. I see myself just teaching, really concentrating on the teaching. No. I see myself doing the same thing I'm doing, just not with all the long distance walks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You're
I know
walking.
that I know there's a finality to this one. I feel it. Um, but where that finality ends is where it is.
You gotta make it to the coast, man. You gotta get that last walk, go all the way, go touch the ocean.
I touch the Atlantic, and like I said, I know if the thing, once I get to Ottawa, and if I know, once I get to Ottawa, if I know everything is in place for that, I'm going to work on seeing what it takes to have a visa to walk on the other places. I
Yeah,
won't touch that ocean without going to see the other ones and doing
yeah.
that as well. So.
Well, a lot of people walk north to south, Mexico to Canada, so
Yeah, there's a few youth that have ran through Victoria that we've met up with a couple times, or not through Victoria, through Vancouver, running that Alaska down to
that
yep,
Alaska down.
all the way down to
Yeah,
South America. Like they do it like every year,
talk about a subculture, hey, the
right?
walkers.
Right?
That's crazy.
Didn't even know that there was this thing like
Yeah, and a lot of those people, they rough it too. They just sleep under the stars and go and rattlesnakes and bears and everything else, and they've never done anything like that before, but
yeah.
I met one person in, Australia, I think, that just finished,
Well,
and I'm like it was like a month after he finished, I said, "Well, what did you learn?" He said, "I'm still trying to figure it out. I have no idea if I learned anything or if I learned the most significant thing in my life. I'm still piecing it
uh,
together," but
you learn your resilience and you learn your strength,
yeah,
and you learn that being struck by lightning or surviving death, I don't fear it. I'm not saying that I'm going to go out and do stuff like jumping out of a plane or anything like that, but yeah, I don't fear it. I knew that I wouldn't die from COVID, and no matter how many close calls I've had on the road, I know I'm not going to be killed. I know that when my papa said I had to listen, they're going to take care of me. Um, so the I got to see myself old. Papa said, "You want to be here? You pick up your bundle and you listen. You tell those stories. You share everything we shared with you when you were small. That's what you have to do." And the first time I knew I didn't have to worry, and then not saying I don't get scared. Like, but I was coming in, it was my second, yeah, my second long distance walk. I'm coming out of Strathmore, and I have my earphones on with my little, and then my son had showed me how to use my cell phone. So I go bing when I get a message, right? Like, so when I'd hear the bing, I'd always step so my back is like, so I got my front to the highway. So I can see that. And so I get the bing, step off. And as I step off, this farmer's equipment, don't know what the heck, it was just this great big thing, um, just drove by me. I don't know if I didn't hear him because I had my earphones in, but I know that if I didn't hear that bing, I'd have been I'd been all over the place, and then it wouldn't have been his fault. I don't think it probably would have been mine because I had the earphones in. Um, so I turned my back. That happened, and there was no cell. There was no message. There was nothing there. I just had that bing and stepped off.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's like that's the tamest part of the craziness that happened.
Yeah, I can just imagine. Well, I appreciate you sharing,
Well,
James, and
thank you for having me and
thanks
sharing,
for
and
coming on. Yeah,
yeah,
first episode,
yeah.
and yeah,
Oh yeah,
appreciate it.
any donations, walk for hope lowercase letters 03 at gmail.com.
Yeah,
Walk for hope 03 at gmail.com. And my walk page, walk for love with James Gentle Lightning Taylor.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.